All right, Mr. Ben Cote, the man who brought the 80s back on the radar and can somehow smile while shredding through every single guitar solo. So glad we got the chance to catch up, dude.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Tell me, what's it like being the human embodiment of 80s glam in 2025? Do you ever wake
I
up, look at yourself in the mirror, and think maybe today I'll be just mildly glam?
say I never really thought of myself as like glam. I'm obviously like very heavily influenced, but it's like I don't wear makeup or like eyeliner or anything. I can't pull that off. I know there's I just do it
Wearing your
myself.
girlfriend's clothes.
Right, yeah, or that too. Yeah.
I've always been curious about your studio. If you're cool with it, could you give us a quick pan of your current setup, what you got going on over there?
Sure. So this is different than what people see on a lot of my Instagram stuff. I'm not at my apartment right now, but this is the actual studio where my band records all the records. It's kind of a mess right now. You can see I have a whole bunch of that's all my band's merch, and I've got it half packed up from all the shows we've played. But you can that's my cabinets there. The other half of my heads are at my apartment. Kind of slowly getting everything set up. The band is getting back into our recording season. Pretty much after this coming week, we have our last show of the year on Wednesday, and then starting tracking the next record. So
All right, man. I gotta get some tips on how you did that leopard grill cloth. That thing is sweet.
here, actually, I can show you. Well, I guess I won't say exactly where I live, but so I'm outside of Boston, hence the Patriots jersey. The Patriots are playing right now, but
Oh,
that's not
sorry,
where-
man.
no, I'm not saying that. As I'm saying, that's why I'm wearing it because I'm going to be watching the game after this. But there's a Joann's Fabric right by my place, and they had this. I don't know if it's leopard print or cheetah print. I never know the difference. This crazy sale. This was like a year ago, maybe even more than that, and I bought all of it. So for the amp heads, there's no sound obviously coming out of.
Right.
So it's actually easier than you think. All you got to do is just unscrew the chassis and then rip off the grill cloth and just staple it on, put it back together. So
So, what you got in your hands there? Tell us more about all these super strat and star builds that you're doing. How deep are you
yeah,
into the DIY rabbit hole?
I'm getting pretty deep, I guess now. So I'm very fortunate to I've worked and I'm still working, a lot of different guitar brands. So it's not really anything against them. I love. I've always been a guitar player that I'm a fan of pretty much all types of guitars. Like, yeah, I'll go in phases. Like I have my Les Paul phase for, maybe a couple months, and then I'm in like a super strat
Right.
phase. I'll back up. So I have my Ben Cote signature guitar strap. I'll give a shout out to Fairfield Guitar Company. When they approached me, this, what would you want to do for a guitar strap? And this is really specific and weird, but I always thought Marty McFly's skateboard from Back to the Future had that kind of purple pink
Oh
splatter
man.
on it. As long as I can remember, I was always like, that'd be a really cool guitar design. I always had it in my head that eventually someday maybe there'd be a guitar company that would be willing to like build me a custom signature guitar like that. But that day hadn't come, so I said, well, it'd be cool to have for a guitar strap. So like, I'll try to do it myself. So what happened was I built the 1978 EVH guitar build. So I got a Warmoth body. One of their no stupid deal is musician's friend. Screamin' Deal is the warm up. So I got a body and a neck on the Screamin' Deal. It wasn't a lot of money, I mean, for the quality. So I figured I'll try it, and it went really well. So like, all right, I was able to do it once. Maybe I can. I'll try to do like my own thing now. So I figured, well, I'll do the splatter again. I figured Eddie has stripes, Randy has
Lynch
polka dots, yeah, Lynch has
tiger thing, yeah.
the tiger thing. Zach has bullseye. So I'm like, maybe I'll try to claim splatter. I had several comments of, well, Phil Collin had splatter, but it's not the same type of splatter that Phil Collin had.
No, it's not.
It has just a standard six screw vintage tremolo. But a lot of people are like, how come you didn't put a Floyd on it? It's like I didn't trust myself to try to set up a Floyd.
It's
Yes.
hard enough getting those, set up properly. I can't imagine the pain of installing.
Oh yeah, it's like, and I had some help with my guitar tech. I broke the original potentiometer because I was trying to fit a knob on it that didn't fit, and I snapped the thing. So the only other potentiometer I had was StewMac had a push-pull one. Star guitar build was completely, it's just one pickup. I was able to wire that one up. That was completely on my own. But it's a whole new avenue of being creative and artistic in music that's kind of outside of actually playing the music.
Anyone listening, you can't do the splatter. That's Ben Cody's signature. Going back to one of your live streams, you mentioned that you don't get super hung up on the micro intricacies, and I think that's an important piece. Is there a particular approach you take for gaining an understanding of all the technical stuff, while on the other hand, not letting it like fully consume you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I went through the phase of being really minute and really just hyper focused on every little detail. And it got to the point where I was fortunate enough, I graduated, Berklee College of Music, and that's actually my day job now is I work for the guitar department there full time. So I've always been in that world. It's academia with music, so it's very focused on all of those things. And I think it's important for every musician to know theory and understand the technical side of it. But at the same time, for what I wanted to do, I wanted to be in a world as a musician that 99% of my audience is not musicians. I don't want to be playing for other musicians because that's no fun. I'm sure you play a show and their arms are always crossed. You can tell they're just like trying to watch every detail. Yeah, I just want to be making music for human beings,
not robots.
I kind of had the epiphany that I think a lot of musicians probably have had. This no one here cares gauge a string that I'm using. No one can hear the difference between a tube screamer or a Boss SD1 in the audience. It's like no one's gonna JB instead of a custom. I know how to get what sounds I want, and then from there I try not to get too hung up. And I guess as far as the really tone goes, it's really just a matter of understanding where the guitar sits in the frequency and being able to come up with a good sound that sits in the mix with the band,
right?
And just being content with it, and not being so dependent on a piece of gear or so dependent on anything other than just being able to play, and
yeah. There's no single piece of gear that can define you, or there's so many variables.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I know a lot of guitar players, and I'm sure you do too, that I think get too hung up in it. But then I also know
like
some
me.
Maybe I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I think it's absolutely good to have that knowledge. I know a lot of other guitar players that maybe should spend a little more time, kind of
probably so.
Like anything else in life, it's just about balance and just understanding your role and what your goals are.
On the guitars note, what's currently sitting at the top of your Reverb Grail list?
Not particularly, to be honest with you. I've kind of been through a lot of different phases of searching for gear and like different boutique stuff. At the end of the day, it just kind of comes down to like a Boss Overdrive or like a Tube Screamer. I don't really get too hung up on really like boutique rare stuff anymore.
I mean, you build it to get your sound now, so you're set.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was more of just a kind of a fun thing to do, but for me, it's just something that has a good amount of gain. Lately, usually I gig with using orange amps for a while because they have a lot of mid-range, so they just kind of sit in the mix. I've always been like a big Marshall guy, but as much as I hate to admit it, I think orange is just easier to cut through a mix than a lot of the modern Marshalls. And then I'll kind of push it with an overdrive pedal and maybe throw some delay. I mean, my band, when I'm playing with the Ben Cote band, we're just a three-piece, so we have a lot of sonic space to fill. But then, when I'm playing, with other bands too, it's just a matter of just kind of knowing my role and just being whatever they need me to be.
For your like live setup, can you walk us through that a bit? Do you have like a little bit of slapback delay, kind of like the short burst afterwards, plus some reverb, things like that?
I love talking gear. So I don't use reverb live at all. For me, it just gets to be too muddy for. This is what I use on all my Instagram videos. It's this little
the Yamaha. Yep.
Just enough to have a little bit of ambience with it. So I'll have that like always on just because it kind of acts like a reverb in the sense that it just kind of continues the sound. I just don't want to hear it over what I'm playing. I just want to hear it after I'm done playing the notes. I have two MXR carbon copies. So the mini one just happens to be the one that I kind of keep as the always on one for like that effect. And the other one I have like really exaggerated, like really long, like a lot of regen. At the end of the song, hit one chord and have it keep going, or just to kind of do like the Van Halen. I do have just volume boost. So I like to be able to boost my own solos. I don't want to have to worry about a sound engineer. When they're playing, it's like, the sound engineer isn't going to know what parts of the songs I need to boost. And sometimes it's kind of in the moment, maybe you just want like a pick slide or something to be boosted. So I like to be in control of.
So arguably pretty minimalist. That little bit of delay, that short burst really can thicken up the sound. It's a game changer.
Kind of going back to the whole 80s glam thing. I mean, that's kind of a signature sound. A lot of the 80s glam records just have that really big arena rock sound. A lot of times I got it with more delay than reverb.
Ideal scenario. You get an all-access NAMM pass. You probably already do. And you can bring any two people, alive or past, who's on the guest list.
I think I'd have to say Eddie, because I had myself convinced that like someday I was going to meet Eddie, and then obviously this didn't happen. So it'd have to be him. And then My dad usually goes with me when we go to NAMM, so obviously I'm not gonna kick him off the the guest list, you know.
And then the other slot is reserved for me, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Are you going to NAMM this year?
I've never been in my life. That's
Oh,
it's a
okay.
dream.
Oh, okay. Well, if can say if you go, let me know. Like for you, I think it'd be great, you know, because it's such a great networking. I hate using the word networking, but it is a good
Hmm.
thing. But like,
Yeah.
if you aren't there to really meet people and meet obviously like artist reps and things like that, it can kind of just feel like a big guitar center. But it is great just to take advantage of just the people that are there, you know. And
You mentioned your dad. Does he get in on all of your DIY builds? Does he play?
So he played a little bit, more like a hobby, kind of, you know. But
Hmm.
my first guitar, when I first started playing, is old 1979 Ovation Matrix. Because when I wanted to start playing, my parents were like, "Yeah, it's probably just gonna be like a phase. Not gonna want to stick with it. Just use your dad's old guitar." He's always been very. Both my parents were incredibly supportive, you know, with my music and my band. So my dad's a engineer, and he's really artistic and really great at all that stuff. So he always makes sure I don't cut off any fingers or anything like that.
We have such similar story. My dad, I'm building a pedal with him, and so
Oh, okay.
he's an electrical engineer. He used to
Oh, nice.
play. He had a original, I think it was like 60s something Black Beauty, and he gave it away before I was born.
Oh no.
Tragic.
Find out who he gave it to and see if you can.
It was my cousin, and she
Oh,
lost it. She
oh,
lost it.
what? How do you lose a guitar?
I still can't really sleep at night, but alas.
Like she owes you a Les Paul custom, then. That's what it
I
sounds
think
like to
so
me.
too. Let's rewind a bit. Every glam guy, and beyond just glam, of course, has that one album that flipped the switch for them. What was yours at the start?
5150. Going back to talking about my dad. I remember distinctly. I was maybe 12 or so. We were driving back. We just dropped one of my friends off. It was like in the summertime, and my dad had just got an iPod. This is the rotary thing on it. I remember 5150 was playing, and for whatever reason, I knew who Sammy Hagar was, but I didn't know who Van Halen was at the time. And I remember telling my dad, I'm like, well, who is this? And my dad's like, well, this is Van Halen. Van Halen sounds a lot like Sammy Hagar. And he's like, well, it's because it is Sammy Hagar. My mind couldn't comprehend. I'm like, well, why is the band named not after the singer? I guess I'm like, what? And my dad's like, well, the guitar player and the drummer were brothers, and they're Van Halen. It was their band, so it was named after them. Then I just started listening to that album because I mean, at the time and growing up like in the 2000s, I mean there was rock, but it wasn't the same. And I still do. I like Blink 182 and Lit and
Of
Good
course.
Charlotte and kind of like all those pop punk bands. But there really was just a totally different level of musicianship. Just like listening to those all of Eddie's licks. I'm like, wow, that's gonna open up a whole new world for me, and I haven't looked back since.
Right when you hear good enough, just blast. Like, what a way to start a record, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hello, baby.
And then on that note, how about a player, band, or album that you might have not gotten at first, but later clicked for you after a few listens?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Slash. My favorite guitar player after Eddie is Slash. So I'll say that right now, just kind of to preface this. And at the time, I hated Slash. I didn't like Guns N' Roses, and because I always thought like back then, like the first couple albums, and this kind of just shows the musical immaturity I had at the time. Playing is like really slow. Like I just want people to play really fast and all
Yeah.
that. Like he's all about image, and he's a fraud. And I hated Slash. And then it was when Slash released the first album with Miles Kennedy in 2012, Apocalyptic Love. I remember listening to that album when it came out. It was recorded live in the studio. So it's just like really organic sounding. That made me get it because he can play all this really intricate stuff and he knows theory. But then it's like, wait a second. It's like he's like very technically capable, but in the height of the whole hair metal thing, to have the guts and the integrity to say, you know what, I'm not going to try to compete and do all this shreddy stuff. I'm going to have my solos be very melodic and like kind of Clapton-esque. I think that just shows just a whole other level of musicianship than being able to just kind of play really fast and kind of do the whole gunslinger kind of thing that everyone was competing for back then. I think he's a great writer, he's a great player, and to be able just to have that musical maturity to make those decisions that for you
Yeah.
and any other guitar player watching right now, everyone knows how hard it is sometimes to hold back. And people think it's hard to play fast and shred. It's harder to not do that,
It
when
is.
you're capable to. And that's something that I really respect a lot.
Mastering restraint, man. That's the key. Honestly, that's a good take. When you look at Appetite, you have just Sweet Child of Mine and Jungle shoved in your face every single day. But then when you actually go back and like even just listen to some of the other tracks, there are some incredible sleeper tracks on there that people don't nearly give enough credit to.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, there's even the songs that a lot of people can't stand anymore because they've been overplayed. Like I'm the same way. It's like, oh my God, if I hear "Sweet Child of Mine" again, but then like every once in a while, like it'll come on the radio, and then I will listen to it, and it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's
It's just a
deserved.
great song. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, Rocket Queen, Think About You, You're Crazy, Out to Get Me. I mean, they're just cool guitar riffs and just
Totally,
cool
man.
solos that they aren't necessarily really fast, intricate, shreddy stuff, but they're just cool, you know?
When did you exactly first start playing, and what was your early setup like? You mentioned your dad's guitar. Did you graduate to something else after that? Like, what was your amp setup like?
I'm actually really grateful for starting on guitar that way. It's kind of the old school way of I just learned chords at first, and then I learned how to play songs, just by playing chords. That kind of helps you learn arrangements and even theory to an extent too of just how songs are structured. So I started playing, I want to say it was like November when I was like in eighth grade. Parents got me my first electric for Christmas. So yes, Ibanez Geo, but not what you're thinking. Like I would probably think like it was one of those Steve Vai. Well, it wasn't. It was almost more like a Les Paul. It was just this double cut with two humbuckers, no whammy bar. It really looked like a double cut Les Paul, 100 pounds. And I kind of wish I still had it, but I remember I traded it in. Then like the first kind of next step from that was an Epiphone Les Paul. I probably got like a year later. I think my first amp I had was, is it pronounced Behringer or Behringer? I never know how to pronounce it, but
Behringer, maybe? I don't know.
and then I traded that in when I traded in the Ibanez guitar, this Fender kind of solid state, or it was more like a digital kind of combo amp. I had that for probably a couple of years. Yeah, I had a couple like bigger solid state amps. Like when I got into high school, I had like a Marshall. I think it was the MG, like one of the solid state ones.
I had one of those
Yeah,
MG50 DFX.
yeah, yeah. I had one of those. That's kind of what I had pretty much throughout high school. I think right after I graduated high school, I still have it. Actually, you can see it behind me, the Fender Blues Junior. That was my first.
Mhm.
I pumped gas. I got a job pumping gas in high school to try to get better gear, and that was how I bought my first Gibson. I was like 17. I bought. I don't have it here. It's back home in my apartment. But my black Gibson Les Paul I named Trixie. That's like my favorite guitar that I have. I always joke that's the guitar I want to be buried with when I die. Then when I was going to college, I started working at Hannaford. Hannaford's big up in the Northeast New England. I remember I worked in the butcher shop there for a couple summers and saved up and got a really good deal. A collector in the area was selling because I think he was moving or something. So he had all these like beautiful amps and things that he was just trying to get rid of when he was moving, and they're all like in mint condition. So I got a 2007 Marshall Vintage Modern half stack, the purple Tolex,
Beautiful.
and I gigged with that for a while. And I'm never getting rid of that amp. That's my favorite amp that I own. 100 watt, too big and heavy and loud to kind of take around. But I still use it to record all the albums. So
Any other obsessions you currently have outside of guitar?
not really, to be honest. I'm just kind of I'm kind of boring outside of music. Well, I'm a big NFL fan. I mean, hence religiously. But other than that, it's just music all the time for me.
Moving on to the philosophical portion of this chat. There's
Okay.
been this sort of modern cult level resurgence of 80s rock and shred work online. Do you think there's a reason why people are gravitating back towards it? And two, do you think that it ever become mainstream again?
Well, I don't think it's ever going to become mainstream again because I don't think really any genre of music other than you have like the Dua Lipas and Taylor Swifts, really modern pop. I mean, that's always going to be mainstream because that's literally what it's designed for. But anything outside of that, I don't think is ever going to really be mainstream again because the internet just allows all these niche worlds to be able to find each other so easily that I don't think it's going to really go beyond that, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I think that it's just kind of the trade off that we had to get with just this digital world now that it's the easiest it's ever been to reach your target audience. But the downside to it is that it's very isolating as much as it is meeting people that can bring them together. It's kind of this weird duality of it. I experience this daily where I'm very, very grateful and thankful for the following that I have online, which isn't huge, but I mean, my following is very dedicated, and I try to be very, reachable with everyone. I try to, be able to respond and have that side of it. But all the comments I get all the time are, okay, well, when are you going to come and play, in Ohio? When are you going to come play in Nevada? And it's like, it's really awesome that I have a few people that like me there, but that's not going to be enough to be able to financially book a tour and be able to fill a full venue with people, because it's like, yeah, you might have what seems like a pretty decent sized number of followers, but that's throughout the entire world, so it's very diluted in that sense, that you can't really tour like that unless if you have, some sort of financial backing, or you have, you're able to get some opening slot with I hate using the term legacy artist, but that's kind of all that's touring now in this genre of kind of the legacy bands. A lot of the bands that are opening up for those legacy artists that aren't also big themselves are buy-ons, so if people don't know, it's a whole other way that these bands can make money now, are basically charging opening bands the opportunity to open for them for exposure. So not only
Good point.
are you not getting paid as an opening band, you're paying the headliner $2,000 a night. So they're making more money off you, because nowadays you're not making any money from record sales. So a lot of these legacy, these big acts can only make money from ticket sales, which they're not making a lot from that because most of it's going to Ticketmaster because they have the monopoly of it.
Right.
Merch sales, which is why it's $60 to get a T-shirt now. And then now they're trying to recoup that loss by taking advantage of the opening band as well. And it's like, I'm not paying that money. I don't have the money to do that. So I think that's kind of limiting the mainstream as well. It's not these younger, artists that are coming up just don't have the opportunity because it doesn't exist anymore to be able to do that. But again, I guess to go back to the first part of the question, I think that there's always going to be room for good music and just good songs and talent. And I think that the whole 80s glam revival is just, people just understand and can relate to and appreciate a lot of just the musical ability and the songs and just the whole aesthetic of that era. And I think part of it too is it was just so over the top and just so decadent and wild. And nowadays, I think everything is just so mild and watered down that it's almost
Yep.
just like an escape. So I think that part is very attractive to a lot of people. I mean, that's part of what got me into that too. And things always tend to come around again. 'Cause I even noticed, like, you think of like the 2000s. I mean, there's a lot of kind of 70s resurgence in the 2000s, a lot of different those styles. 2010s, the kind of now it's more like an 80s, 90s, and you can even see now like a lot of the early 2000s pop punk influence is coming back in pop culture.
Definitely.
A lot of
It's
that
great
too.
stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like this 30-year cycle. I think the whole American pop culture is just kind of incorporated this 30-year cycle.
I think at the time too, anything that was happening there in the 80s in terms of like the heavy tread, fast, flashy stuff, like you were saying, that was also like the pinnacle of production quality. Like that was the best you could get with the technology and everything you had back then. And now, anyone can do anything they want, even just at home. That really kind of shifted the narrative.
Well, absolutely. I mean, everyone that had power back then, that was in power, lost it. By which I mean the record labels, particularly the recording studios. Because it went from being, and like I said, it was kind of a trade off. Because back then there's really only three places you could be, which was on tour, on MTV, and on the radio, record stores, right? So I guess four. So it was much harder to get in, but once you got in, you were everywhere. Like once you got signed, it was so much easier to be everywhere. Whereas now, it's really easy to get in, but it's just so you can't be everywhere anymore. So it's a trade-off. I think the artist got the power, also the all the responsibility that comes with it, where everything's on the artist now. You have to be your own manager, you have to be your own producer, you have to be your own distributor, you have to be your own booking agent, you have to be your own graphic designer. You're going to do everything, and then it's a lot more work with a lot less payoff. But I think with every challenge, there's always an opportunity to take advantage of new avenues in it, and I'm hopeful that it will allow artists that are the most determined and the most dedicated and the most disciplined to be able to kind of shine through, because I think people still can recognize real talented, disciplined ones are versus the person who's using AI or just to use all
Yeah.
these other programs to.
I think you were also being a bit modest. Like you were totally crushing it, and you're also so responsive and in tune with everyone that's into it. Like me, you really helped me out get a little bit off the ground, and I'm super thankful for that.
Oh, I love the stuff you make. I mean, you have, obviously you're an amazing player. You have fantastic tone. I think the deep dives that you're doing, I love it as a guitar player. And I know there's a lot of us guitar players out there that are really into it. So I think it helps all of us learn. You know.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. Now, for the like it or leave it, I was originally going to have you do an 80s album shootout, but I realized you'd keep picking the Van Halen ones. So we're upping the difficulty today. The Guitars of Ed.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's talk through it.
Oh,
This one,
wow. Well, I mean, how can I not pick Frankie? But I love the Dragon Snake one. I think it's really underrated. But I think you have to go with Frankie.
all right, yeah.
Oh, you're really gonna make me do this, huh? You know what? I'm gonna go with the Les Paul. I'm sorry, I love Eddie playing a Les Paul.
That one in particular is crazy. There's not much info out on that guitar, and it
Yeah,
also looks huge for some reason. Maybe if he was just like a skinny dude, but it looks so thick. I don't know what the deal is with that at Les Paul.
yeah. From my understanding, from the I guess rumors that I've heard was I want to say he picked it up. Was it in Japan? I know it was only for the first tour, but then he never saw it again.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, knowing him, it might be a guitar that he painted or sanded or something. So maybe you have seen it, you just don't realize it. But
totally true.
I prefer Eddie playing a guitar with a hardtail. I don't know, there's something about his playing and his
Yeah.
phrasing. You can kind of get kind of more of that 70s, 60s Clapton influence. So yeah, so I have to go Les Paul.
All right, man. I agree with you on the hardtail piece. Like, I think everything he did with the Destroyer on the early albums, I think really kind of stood out. You could hear the difference.
Absolutely, absolutely. Early Frankie.
Clearly,
Yeah,
you got your build of that, which is
yeah,
really
yeah.
sick.
I spent a lot of time trying to do. Um, oh no, I'm gonna be making someone mad with this. I'm gonna get in trouble if I don't say Kramer, so I think I'm gonna have to say Kramer. Even though they're owned by Gibson, I love Star guitars. Obviously, I just built one, but I still have to go the Les Paul, the Kramer, definitely the Kramer.
Yeah, the easy one.
Yeah. Let's do the Dragon Snake this time. Uh, Les Paul again.
We're not even picking the Tyesco Del Rey. I don't know why it keeps coming up.
Ooh, the 61 Strat. That's interesting. Was that the one at the Whiskey?
I think it might be, but I remember he played with a single coil in it. That looks like it has the angled humbucker in it.
There was one iteration before Frankie that I think it was that Strat that he put a humbucker in. And I want to say there's a picture of him. Was he at the Whiskey or the Starwood where he's playing? And he has like a white tank top on, I think. I still have to go
I
with the Les Paul custom though.
okay.
Ooh, I love the Bumblebee. I kind of have a somewhat homemade Bumblebee out of the yellow Kramer I have, but I think I have to go with the Star. Well, I just built the Star, so I'm partial.
True. Okay, Ben. Let's gear up for the real test. Let's
Oh
see if you
no.
can name these Van Halen songs from just a couple seconds of audio.
All right.
But before we begin, I need to show you something important.
All right.
This is the prototype I'm piecing together for my 500 sub milestone.
That looks
I'm
awesome.
I'm basically expecting my YouTube Diamond play button anytime in the mail now. Here are the stakes. If you nail every single track, I will have to craft the full Ben Cote deep dive analysis. The covers, unnecessary music theory, the works.
Oh no.
But if you miss even one, you will have to wear this shirt. Proudly, shamefully, both. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it. No talk for teacher.
Number two.
Jamie's crying.
You got it.
The fact that I can see they're getting longer for the higher the level is concerning.
You should be scared.
Yeah. Pretty woman.
Ding. Good job. All right. Level two. Heating up a little bit.
Love walks in.
I'm getting a little nervous here. Need that one again? Oh, I started that early and you still got it. All right. Should have made this harder.
Well, hold on. Let's see. We're only like not even halfway through. That's definitely Can I hear it one more time?
Yup.
That's Out of Love Again.
That is Somebody Get Me a Doctor.
Oh no! I almost said that one. Okay, yeah. Well, there we go. I got the T-shirt.
Let's see if you get this next one. Level 3.
All right. That's
One more time.
Yeah. It's one of the last songs on Diver Down. Best part of a man. I'm blanking on the title. Hang on. The Full Bug.
Yeah.
I almost said Somebody Get Me a Doctor, and then I'm like, oh no, I think it's whatever one I said, but it's all right. I get a cool T-shirt, so it's all right.
Fair enough. Next.
Oh, don't get out and push, dude. That's on Fair Warning.
It is.
Oh my God. I'm going through the record in my head. Obviously it starts with Mean Street. It's not Dirty Movies. It's Cinder Swing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. I took this myself and I absolutely failed. Level 4. This is where we're kind of entering psycho zone here. This is
still all like exclusively Van Halen, or are we getting into like, demos? Is this like all like released Van Halen albums?
These are all final released Van Halen albums.
Okay.
No crazy like side recordings from the 5150 vault.
Oh, okay.
Number 9, level 4.
That's In and Out.
Are you kidding me? At this point, I was just trying to pick random hard passages. Level 5, basically impossible. I've given you more time on this. Let's see if you got it.
I can see it's making me nervous. I'm like, oh no. It's gonna be a Gary Sharon song. I know it's a Gary Sharon song.
All right. If you get this, I will give you the 10 out of 10 because I will fall out of my chair if you get this.
Oh, jeez. So, fun fact, this song was featured in Lethal Weapon 4. Oh. This is Fire in the Hole.
Are you kidding me? No. Oh, man. All right. So, I gave you the gimme. I shouldn't have done that. All right. I applaud you, man. That is impressive.
That was tough. That was, wow.
Before we wrap up the Van Halen rabbit hole here, there's a bunch of unreleased stuff that's trickled out over the years, like Light in the Sky, early House of Pain, the demo from the Gene Simmons era. Any personal favorites from those, or a favorite deep cut Ed fun fact you'd like to share?
Yeah, so actually there used to be a YouTube channel that I'm pretty sure they shut down like a couple weeks ago. I want to say it was like Van Halen Unreleased or Van Halen Archives. And I don't know who, it had to be someone on the inside because they're releasing like these really high quality demos from like the early recordings. I was looking for it the other day and then it was like clearly been taken down. It was an outtake from, I want to say, The Women and Children First, and it was still instrumental.
Interesting. No, I haven't heard that.
I guess I probably shouldn't have bothered bringing it up because I don't remember what it's called. But I'll try to find it. I'll send it to you on Instagram. It sounded like something that should have been on like Van Halen 1 or 2. It has this like really heavy kind of like Phrygian kind of like verse riff, but then chorus, which again, it's like all instrumental. It was like really melodic and really pretty. Act Like It Hurts is what it's called. They sound like they were mastered. So like at first I'm like, is like Wolfgang like secretly releasing these or something? And I think there was like a whole Reddit thing about like it just got taken down abruptly. So I was like, all right, it's like clearly someone wasn't supposed to be releasing and got a hold of it. And I guess as far as other like kind of deep cuts or unreleased, there's an album that I got years ago. I was back in high school. You've heard of Cape Cod, the peninsula. Yes, the peninsula. There's like the arm coming off of, and they have this really cool record store that's been there since like the 70s. It's still called Spinnakers, They just have the coolest, like random, weird bootleg, like all, and they're still open. They still have like vinyls of it. I don't know where they get all the stuff supplied from, but I got, it was called Van Halen School's Out, which was this bootleg live recording of them from like '76, I think.
Wow.
Playing at, I think it was like the Pasadena High School or some high school back then.
Yeah. I'll pull those up randomly. The Van Halen Club Days. I think they do the Pasadena High School in there.
But the set was like all cover.
A lot of ZZ Top in there.
Chevrolet by ZZ Top, Don't Call Us, We'll Call You by Sugarloaf, Wildfire by Spooky Tooth. For me, it's like I love hearing, and I know Eddie said it before. It's like, oh yeah, it's like we can never sound like anything other than ourselves. You know, kind of. It's like lose gigs because club owners, you know, we won't be able to play top 40 hits and make them sound like top 40. But I love hearing Van Halen kind of Van Halenize like other. As much as, you know, I think I'm associated with like 80s glam stuff, like I definitely associate myself more with kind of 70s style, kind of like that more earthy, organic, just kind of straight ahead rock and roll. So kind of hearing Van Halen do that with a lot of those, probably my favorite.
That's where it originated from. He was such a ZZ Top freak. He loved the 70s style stuff, and he just wanted to emulate that in his own way. And then we got what we got in the 80s after that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's kind of how it works. Just
it's across the board.
That's what we all do, you know?
Well, back to earth. What's next for you or the Ben Cote band? Any shows, releases, secret projects cooking? You got George Lynch?
Yes. So hasn't been too much posting about it. "Quote unquote" supergroup with Ricky Thrash heavily in the works. I mean, Ricky and I are doing the George Lynch tour, which I guess, you know, for anyone listening, so George Lynch is doing the Mr. Scary mini tour in February. He's going to play first with Lynch Mob, and then he's going to come out. I'm going to be backing him up on rhythm guitar. Ricky Thrash is going to be on bass. Don Crash from Heat's going to be on drums. Jackson Davenport's going to be singing, and we're going to be doing a exclusive Dawkins set, kind of cosplaying Dawkins, I guess. Yeah, here we go. Just 3 dates of that so far booked in the Northeast: New York City, Albany, New York, and then Providence, Rhode Island. Kind of once we get through that, we'll be able to announce a lot of the stuff that we've been working on for the supergroup. Pretty much all I'm allowed to say right now.
All right.
And then, yeah, the Ben Cote band's not going anywhere. Our last full electric band show of 2025 is going to be this coming Wednesday, which is Thanksgiving Eve, back up to my hometown of Fitchburg, Massachusetts, which is the first venue to give me a chance back when I was like 18. So we're going back there again for our Thanksgiving Eve party. I have some acoustic shows booked with just my bass player and I kind of throughout the winter. Like I said, the winter time for me is always recording season. I don't like to, you know, travel or tour too much because of I don't want to have to cancel shows because of blizzards and things like that. So another album, because we've pretty much released an album every year now for the past few years. So, and everyone's been like a June, like a summer album release. So I think this next one I maybe do like an October, kind of maybe a little bit heavier, a little bit darker, kind of a Halloween fall thing. So that's kind of my plan. But we have some recording sessions coming up in early December for that. Yeah, I've also been playing a little bit with the Gavin Evick band, playing lead guitar with that. So actually, I was just down in your area opening for Sebastian Bach with that.
Unbelievable. That is your mind ever just playing with these guys that I listen to, these legends?
Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for it, and I've always just tried to have the mindset and just try to approach it, you know, as a professional, and just, you know, this is here to do a job and just try to, you know, show up and do everything to the best of my ability. And then I try not to, I guess, think too hard about, you know, so, I mean, it's obviously it's going through my mind, but like, oh my God, like, you know, I try to just not get too caught up in that, because I think if you do, I think it's hard to kind of get out of that mindset and to try to, you know, be a colleague rather than a fan, you know.
That shows. You go up there, it looks like you've been playing with them your whole life.
I got the call. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm supposed to, but I got the call that their guitar player couldn't do that show kind of last minute, so they sent me the songs, and you know, it was my first show that I ever went completely ampless, keyboards and stuff. So it was my first time playing live with a click track, and everything had to be set up was all DI. So I have a UA Audio Lion 68 that may have converted me to some amp simulator for like fly dates, things like that.
Interesting. Okay.
I remember like being on stage. I think I was, to be honest, I was almost I think more blown away with the sound of that than the actual experience of like, oh my God, like I'm hanging out with Sebastian Bach in the green room and all that. It was kind of more like,
oh my God,
that's
man,
really cool. It's like, I can't believe how good this sounds. It's like, I wasn't expecting. Shout out, I'm not, you know, I'm not endorsed or working with UA Audio or anything like that. That was just blown away by how good that sounded. Because I had a Tonex that I got And I ended up selling it because I just couldn't. It was too complicated and too way. It's like there's physical knobs on it, and it's like emulates one thing. It's like it's just a Marshall Plexi, you know. So it's still kind of simple in that because we're kind of at the point where I mean, the past how many years? It's like my opinion was always all right. Well, it's like yeah, someday technology will probably be good enough, but it's like you can still tell the difference. And now I feel like we're kind of say, you know, there's always going to be, you know, some trade off, but it's kind of close enough where it's like, all right, I can't fly with a Marshall, so it's like, but
Yeah.
then it goes back to no one in the audience is going to notice. But at the same time, as a performer, as a guitar player, as you know, it's like you're playing and it sounds and feels good to you, and it helps you get more inspired to play a certain way. Then I think
Definitely.
gear is always important in that sense.
The best sound that you can get is the one that makes you want to pick up the guitar the next day.
Absolutely, that's well said. Absolutely.
Next one, I was going to ask about Desert Island gear, but I don't want to put you under duress with like sponsors or anything, so I can omit that if you want.
No. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
I guess I will say, like everyone that I work with, I've never had to sign any sort of exclusive clause. So, but that being said, my favorite guitar, I think it sounds great, and also just for the sentimental value, is Trixie, my 2011 Gibson Les Paul, 1960 traditional. 17 years old, pump gas 2 years, and she just has this magic about her. The amp would probably be that Marshall that I was talking about, the vintage modern, really underrated amp. They only had them in production for I think a couple of years because it's essentially a modded Plexi. It's literally just a Plexi circuit. It's got the old, you may already know the amp, but it's got the old KT66 tubes. But Marshall basically did the mod that everyone was doing back then. So it's
The
one
Jose.
now, but there's a button on it to add either one or two extra preamp tubes sound, and then the cab had the Jimi Hendrix signature greenbacks. It just sounds like, I mean, that's what rock and roll is supposed to sound like to me. As far as a pedal goes, I've been working with StewMac a lot. I just did some demos for them, you know, for their new pre-built pedals. And the pedal that really blew me away that I wasn't expecting it to was called the Two Kings, which is supposed to be a King of Tone, right? The Analog Man King of Tone. And I'd never played a real one before, and I didn't really know what to expect. That through a Marshall that sounds like Van Halen 1. so that's kind of vastly become my favorite overdrive. You can open up the back and there are these dip switches, obviously before they did the release. So I didn't get like the full schematic breakdown that they released when they actually had because I had to have them out for like the release date, the videos I did. And then once I realized, I'm like, wait, this can do more. So I did the high gain setting in it. And then I did another video on YouTube of actually, there's like no talking, just no backing track, just mic'd up to the amp. But I think one of the best sounds I've ever recorded was just using that. I didn't even have the mod engaged. It was just the kind of low gain plexi circuit just pushed with that. And so I highly recommend checking out the Two Kings StewMac pedal.
To close us out, any final words for the fans or advice for young players trying to keep this sound alive?
I'd say there's no shortcuts. This style of music, I mean, all styles of music, but really this one in particular, you know, I think everyone gets caught up in just kind of the flashiness of trying to play fast, and, you know, which, you know, it's fun, it's cool to play fast, but it's better to be able to play accurately and be able to play with meaning rather than just trying to play as fast as you can all the time. So I think just learn your scales, learn your chords, learn your theory, learn your arpeggios, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it, like anything else in life. And I think if you're doing it for the money, go be a lawyer. You know? Do it because you love the music.
You heard the man, Mr. Cote. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, thank you so much.
Godspeed.
This is amazing. I'm a huge fan of everything you're doing, and I'm
Oh,
honored to have been asked to be on this. So thank you.
other way around, man. Thank you so much.